Silver lining in radical times with Monex and CPM Group.
When you think about the Bitcoin crowd and the gold crowd, right? These are people that kind of want the same thing, and I know that there's some upside potential that everybody talks about, but when you think about something that people think is secure, that nobody can take from me, right? It's based on the blockchain or whatever it might be, it's kind of another alternative to maybe the kind of off balance sheet asset kind of an idea. Shouldn't we be working together with that industry in some way, shape, or form?
I guess there is scope to work with that industry by virtue of the fact that what you really need to do, to be honest with your customers, is say, understand the differences between cryptocurrencies and precious metals. Precious metals are tangible assets, they're physical assets, they're real, they have an actual geological limited supply, and they are nobody's liability, and you can have total control of your assets. Cryptocurrencies are the exact opposite, totally intangible, anonymous creators or anonymous owners. People make a great deal about the security of the distributed ledger protocol, but that's simply an accounting basis, right? You have a very nice, interesting new technology for accounting those assets, but it has nothing to do with the security. And you've seen this over and over again. Even, like where the FBI or the CIA or the NSA will go in and drain 250 or $500 million of cryptocurrencies from people that they say are breaking the law.
Right.
And so you have a distributed ledger protocol, which is basically an accounting system that says, oh yeah, that's mine. It's gone, but it was mine. And you have to understand that. So it's the liquidity versus the asset basis. Now, if the cryptocurrency industry were honest, it would work with its clients and say, yeah, you should have some gold and silver, because those are the tangible, secure assets. But you should also trade cryptocurrencies for the liquidity and the value. And if you look at the volatilities, as I said, if you look at the volatility of gold, and to a lesser extent silver, the volatility of price changes day to day, month to month, year to year, are similar to those in the dollar and the euro, major internationally traded currencies. You look at cryptocurrencies volatilities and you say, where do I find volatilities like this in terms of returns? And the answer is a slot machine, right? So if a cryptocurrency seller were honest, he would say, yeah, you should have gold and silver, but this stuff is fun for a daily basis. And we have a lot of clients, wealthy individuals who will own gold and silver for decades. They'll trade cryptocurrencies, but they never go home long or short the cryptos. It's a day trade for them. It's like playing a slot machine, and then you take your winnings and you go home. Or you don't take your winnings, you mark your losses, hope to make them up the next day.
I always keep it simple. If you got $100,000 in Bitcoin, you can always go out and get yourself $20,000, $30,000 of gold, and have part of your net worth in a real tangible asset, just like you do your net worth, right? What we talk about almost every month.
Make 2 points. One is, I'm a very moralistic person. And, I know a lot of people who have made millions of dollars in cryptos and say, yeah, but what have you done with it? And, is it really, how do you feel about the fact that basically what you did is you took money from somebody else in a gamble, and I used to play poker a lot when I was in university. But the biggest risk I took was playing against professors. And then you had the worry that you'd have his course sometime. So that's really one of the things. The other thing is, like, in September 2008, when Lehman went bust, I was in Vancouver and my wife called and, she's very concerned and stuff. I came home and we were talking and I said, Yeah, we're good for 30 years. Yeah. If the world goes to hell in a handbasket, we lose our jobs, we have enough liquid assets for 30 years of our lifestyle. So that's good. She goes, how can this be? And I said, I'm in gold. I'm in the gold and silver industry. If you look at it, the best days of our lives financially were 1979, 1981, 2005 to 2011. You know, we do well like an arms dealer. We do well when the world is full of anxiety and risk.